Hello and welcome to this first physics video. My name is Mrs. O'Neill. This video is intended for the Goessel High School physics class. It is video 1.1 in that it is the first video of the first unit. Welcome, and I'm glad you found it. This video is going to be a general overview of what we're going to learn about in this year in physics class, and also a discussion on how the class is arranged and how we're going to move through the materials we're trying to cover. We're going to start with just some definitions though. What is physics? Physics is the study of the interactions between matter and energy. If this sounds kind of vague, that's because it is. Physics is a huge field of study. It covers a wide variety of phenomenon, everything from just straight up motion to electricity, sound, optics, energy, heat. One thing though that they all have in common is that physics is highly mathematical. There's going to be lots of formulas, lots of calculations to do. Therefore, it is important that you bring your calculator to class every single day. As a general rule, you may use your cell phone as a calculator. The only exception to this is on a day that you're taking a test. What are we learn about this year? We're going to cover 8 units, and I've divided that into 4 major areas. We're going to start off learning about motion, which is kinematics, and this is going to be our first 3 units. Then we're going to move into astronomy, studying the universe and stars, and that's going to be 2 units, 4 and 5. Then energy, things like electricity and heat and stuff like that. That's going to be unit 6. And then the last 2 units of the year are going to be about engineering, which is how we've applied physics in order to create devices that improve our lives, and also how this technology has affected the rest of the world. So what's really different about this? A lot. Everything. First of all, and the biggest difference, is that we're switching to something called mastery learning. Mastery learning is an educational philosophy that is student-directed instead of teacher-directed. The students take control of their education. They sort of set the pace for how they're going to move through the material, and they make a lot of choices about the kinds of activities that they're going to do as they learn the material. In order to do this, I've taken each unit and broken it down into what are known as skill objectives, which are the specific tasks that I expect you guys to be able to perform by the end of that unit. In order to progress through the school year, you have to demonstrate mastery of each skill objective before you move on to the next one. Now, these skill objectives have different ways that they can be mastered, and these are called learning opportunities. Each skill objective has multiple learning opportunities that you can choose from. I do believe that everyone in this classroom will be learning new things, and therefore you do need to complete at least 3 learning opportunities per skill objective. What? I know this is getting confusing already, so let's try and break this down a little bit. Let's look at Unit 1. This is sort of the layout of a handout that I'm going to give you for each unit. It takes the Unit 1, which is motion. It breaks it down into skill objectives here on the left-hand column. Here we have our first skill objective, Intro to Physics. That's a little bit vague, but it is going to include stuff like lab safety and this video. The second skill objective is being able to use the metric system, and then identifying variables and word problems, and then calculating velocity, and on until you've mastered all the skill objectives in that unit. Generally speaking, there's going to be between 8 and 10 per unit. This middle column is a list of our learning opportunities, the things that you can do to practice the skill objectives. As you can see, most of them have more than 3 learning opportunities, but you only have to complete 3. So there's some variation in terms of what you can do for this skill objective. The only requirement here is that you have to do 3 learning opportunities for each skill objective, and you have to do anything that's in bold. Those are required. They're not optional. But after you finish that one, and this should be the first thing that you do, then you can move on and pick what you want to do. I do have this next column here is to keep track of your progress. When did you finish this, sort of how we're moving through it, and then finally, when did you demonstrate mastery for that skill objective, and when will you be able and ready to move on to the next thing. Alright, doesn't that mean that everyone in the class will be doing their own thing, that we'll all be on separate places? Yes, to an extent. Because everybody has different strengths and weaknesses, you're going to set your own pace in how quickly you complete these skill objectives, and you can also select what types of learning opportunities you want to do. There's quite a lot of variation here. Everybody's going to be learning at their own pace. There's no specific due dates for any of these assignments. You're just going to be moving through the unit at your own speed as long as it takes for you to develop competence in these skills. Now, I do need to keep track of what you guys are up to, so you are going to be required to complete a daily summary, which is sort of like a diary for this class, in which you'll just let me know what you did today, what you expect to do tomorrow, sort of what your progress is, and that this will be for a grade, and I will check it probably weekly. If it seems like you're dawdling and you're taking longer than I believe is needed for this particular skill objective, I may have you come in after class. Hang on a second. Let's look back at these learning opportunities here. Does that really say discussion? Does talking count as learning opportunity? Of course it does. When we talk about stuff with other people, it gives us a chance to clarify our ideas or instruct other people on how to do it. The best way to learn something is to teach somebody. So talking definitely can count as being one of your learning opportunities. A learning opportunity doesn't have to be something that goes into my inbox. It can just be something that you do. So teacher or peer discussion definitely can count. However, obviously, these conversations have to be about the skill objective. If you're just talking about the movie that you watched last weekend, that's not going to count as completing this learning opportunity. Furthermore, if it seems like you're just sort of blowing me off when I ask you if you're having a peer discussion, you're like, sure, but you're actually talking about an upcoming dance and who's dating who or whatever, I'm going to walk right up here and just scratch that off your worksheet, and you will no longer have that learning opportunity for that particular skill objective. You'll have to pick your 2 learning opportunities from the remaining learning opportunities available. So yeah, so it's not an open ticket to spend all class period just talking. What about the mastery quizzes? What are those? Mastery quizzes are how we demonstrate mastery. It is a quiz, so it's short, maybe 5 questions, but the requirement is that you have to get at least an 80% to demonstrate that you've mastered a particular skill. You cannot move on until you can get an 80% on that mastery quiz for that skill objective. This isn't as scary as it sounds. You get to pick when you're going to take the mastery quiz, so don't take it too early. Take it when you're ready. And then if you don't pass it, it's not the end of the world either. You can always retake mastery quizzes. The only thing that's going to be a requirement for that is that you'll have to complete another learning opportunity, and that I won't let you take the quiz 5 minutes after you fail. You'll have to wait till the next day. So don't panic about this. It's completely achievable, but it will be sort of a proof that you are learning what I hope you're learning over the course of this unit. But what about labs? Everybody loves labs. There are still labs. I would never, ever take the labs out of our science classes. Labs are crucial for learning science. I really, really believe that. So we're still going to do them. If we look back at our unit project outline here, you can see that in between the skill objectives, there are these special sort of events, projects and labs. They have to be done. They're always in bold. They're required. And they fit in between these 2 skill objectives. So you would finish this skill objective, do the project, do the next skill objective. They just go in order down the sheet. There's no mastery quiz for them, but I do want to sort of keep track when you do them. But other than that, they're very simple. I do distinguish between what a project is and what a lab is. Projects occur when we create something, some media. A paper, a poster, a flyer, design a game. These are all projects. Labs, on the other hand, focus on data collection and analysis. We're collecting data about something, we need to draw conclusions. Like I said, these things are always in bold. Projects and labs are never optional, and you have to complete them in the order that they're inserted into the unit. Okay, so that's labs. Well, what about lectures? If everybody's doing something different, then me standing in front of the classroom talking for half an hour isn't really helping anybody. I'm flipping the classroom, in which the lectures are going to be taken out of the class time and turned into homework in the form of videos, such as the one that you're watching right now. Every skill objective has an associated video, which I've created, uploaded to YouTube, and also the class website and in Google Docs. There's plenty of ways to find them and watch them. You watch the videos before you do any of the other learning objectives. The cool thing about videos is that it doesn't matter if you miss class for a day, you can still watch the videos. You can watch them from home, you can watch them on your phones. It greatly increases the flexibility in learning this material. You get easily caught up if you're absent, and if you're taking notes from the video, you can always pause the video or rewind it or listen again. You don't have to try and scramble frantically to keep up with me if I'm going too fast in the class. Take the notes at your own pace. YouTube videos for homework? That's ridiculous. Maybe. Watching the video in itself is not the homework. The video quizzes are the homework. I do need some assurance that you've actually watched, and so for each video I've created a very short online quiz to fill out. It's a Google Doc form. The link for each of them is in the description below the video. You just click it, answer a few questions, go on with your life. These are worth 10 points each, so they're going to be roughly equivalent to the mastery quizzes. And they're very, very simple. There's going to be 5 multiple choice or short answer questions for 5 points. And then I want you to write your own question about what you learned from the video, which is going to be the other 5 points. The only requirement for this question is that I want it to be hot. Hot, meaning higher order thinking. I want you to ask questions that require thoughtful answers, that require analysis. So if you want full credit, if you want to get all 5 points, they have to be hot. These video quizzes are open no. In fact, this is one of the reasons why you should take notes. But the mastery quizzes aren't. And tests, and we still have tests, will not be open no. Just like in previous science classes, I'm never going to grade your notes. They're for you. But it is a good idea to take them as you're following the video, and for no other reason than it might be easier to flip through your notes towards the end of the unit than try and watch all the videos one more time to study. Why am I doing this to you guys? Don't you like us? Of course I like you guys. My physics classes are always fun. But that is also the reason why I'm doing this to you. I'm trying to switch to a more comprehensive teaching method. Way too often, students just do a sort of cram and forget style learning in science. You learn something for the test, and then you try and forget it immediately. When you do mastery learning, though, since you have to demonstrate your skill development at every step, it's much less likely that you'll forget it by the time the test rolls around again. You can't move on until you understand, and so you're never going to have this sort of thing that where students get confused, they fall behind, and then they have to work twice as hard to try and get caught up, and they never really master the material because they never get a chance to get their feet back under them. You're always going to be keeping your balance, moving at a constant pace, whatever's comfortable for you. This method teaching also means that students will take far more responsibility for their education. It's up to you to pick what activities you want to complete, how quickly you want to move through this material, and how much time you're going to spend, how many times you're going to take the mastery quizzes. So you need to make decisions about your education, take responsibility for it. And then finally, and I think this is the best part, is that by taking the lectures out of the class time, we'll have way more time in class to do activities, labs, and projects. Okay, I know this is really confusing, but I think once we get the pattern down, it's going to turn out to be a pretty simple change in our setup. What do you have to do? As a student, your responsibilities are, when you do a skill objective, you watch the video, you take a quiz, then you look through the other 2 learning opportunities and pick which ones you want to do. All the learning opportunity documents are in a shared Google Docs folder that you're going to have access to. So you go to the unit and to the skill objective, get the documents that you need and print them out, finish them, turn them in. When you're comfortable with the skill and you think you can pass the quiz, come up to me and ask for it. I'll give you the quiz, you take it, I grade it right then, you'll know whether or not you passed. And then you can move on to the next thing, the next skill objective or the next project or lab or whatever is next in our list. Alright, so you've just finished your very first physics video. Don't forget though that the homework for this video is to take that online quiz. The link is below in the description. As a rule, for all of these video quizzes, you have to be logged into your school Gmail account in order to access the form. Also, when I get the form from you, it'll have your school Gmail name on it. So if you're using someone else's computer and you're logged into their account instead for whatever reason, if you take the quiz, I'll get it under their name and you won't get the points for it. So make sure it's your name. Alright, so don't forget to take the quiz, and when you're done with it, I'll get it graded and we'll get started. I'm really looking forward to a new year, lots of new challenges, a whole new way of doing things. I think it's going to be great. So I hope you do too. Alright, thanks for your time. See you in class.